and thanks for joining me today. This is a flip video using Pink & Main's Be Merry kit, and I'll be making another set of Christmas cards. This first card is my flat one, and the assembly of this is going to go pretty quickly. It's a watercolor panel scene that I already colored in advance, and I'm attaching it to a card base that I actually created as a sort of easel so that it stands up on its own, and that way you can kind of put it such that it's standing and you can appreciate the full scene. I just used some water-based markers to color that, and it only took a little bit of very simple masking just to get a really dense forest in the background. Here is my first of, I think, 3 layered cards, and I think the kit lends itself pretty well to creating layered cards because you get so much cardstock and pattern paper, and so I did make a few. This first one is using some of their really pretty glitter cardstock, and you get 2 half sheets, one in this green and one in red, which I'll use on, I think, my next card. And for this layout, I did use a kind of loosely based it on a sketch, a card layout sketch that I found on Pinterest. And here, you'll see me do this in a couple of my cards, especially the layered ones, where I just add some scrap cardstock behind some of my layering pieces. And the reason why I do that is so that everything can lay as flush and level as possible. And one of the challenges with layering so many pieces like this, especially when they only overlap in certain places, is that you end up with kind of different levels if you don't shim the way I am, especially once you get to like the 3rd layer. And in particular, when you're working with different cards that have different thicknesses, it can actually be visible in some cases because, for instance, this last piece with the white stars on the green background, in some places it's going to sit flush to the bottom, and in other places it's going to be layered behind both the red and the green. So I'm not super precise in getting everything exactly flush, but I do add a couple of shims just to get things as close to level as possible. And if you're like me and you burnish kind of aggressively, then sometimes that unevenness can actually create a little bit of a line or a crease in your paper, which then makes it even more noticeable. So it's not a lot of work, and I always seem to have a lot of these little scraps, especially because I also make mini albums, and that tends to generate a lot of these little strips. So I don't mind putting a little bit of extra time into shimming these pieces up, because I think in the end it does have a more polished look to it. The stamp set that comes in this card kit is really, really cute and pretty easy to color even for me because I'm not even that great of a colorist. I love this little truck, and it also comes with another little car, but that one is a Volkswagen Beetle, which you'll see in some of my later cards as well. And I like how different the cards are because the truck you can see from the side profile, and it's got a tree in the truck bed, whereas the Beetle is from a front view as if the car is driving towards you, and it has gifts strapped to the hood of the car. So kind of cute that there's a little bit of a variety there. I only wish that this kit came with coordinating dies that cut out these images because I'm not the best fussy cutter, and I did have to Stampin' Color a lot of images to use on these cards, because with the Pink and Main card kits, one noticeable difference between this one and, say, the Spellbinders card kit is that it doesn't have ephemera or, die cut pieces that you can use to decorate your card. So to have focal images, I really did have to rely on stamping and coloring with the stamp set. So it's a little bit of a trade-off, because the Spellbinders card kits, their stamps generally are sentiments, and I won't say that it's always just sentiments, but by and large it's usually sentiments, because you do have an ephemera pack that you can use as focal images to decorate your card. And the stamp set that came with the Pink and Main kit is a good mix. So you have some images like the trees and the cars, but you also have sentiments as well. And I really, really love the font of their sentiments in this kit. And you'll see more of it in some of my later cards. The other thing that I noticed about this kit is that the pattern paper is a really nice assortment. It's bright, it's colorful, it's cheerful, but they aren't all Christmas, holiday, or even winter themed. So if you don't need to make a lot of holiday cards, you can definitely use this kit for any kind of cards that you would like to make. Outside of some of the sentiments and the stamps that do feel a little bit more on the holiday side, the cardstock and the pattern paper can definitely be used for any occasion, really. For the cards that I'm making, I actually pulled out all of the pattern papers that had either sort of holiday imagery, like the holly that you see here, or had holiday or winter themed colors. So anything that was red or green or even blues, I pulled those out to use first, because I figure the remaining cardstock and pattern paper I could use for non-holiday cards. So that's what I decided to do for this round. And even though the card kit does come with 2 sheets of white cardstock, I actually didn't use any of the included white cardstock. For example, this circle was just die cut from leftover from another project, and I try to use up leftovers and other things out of my stash when I can. I think this green cardstock and the pink solid cardstock is also out of my stash. I don't think those came in this particular card kit. The one thing that I really appreciated about this card kit is that there are some non-traditional colors in terms of holiday colors, and this is an example of one where that snowflake pattern has 2 shades of green, 2 shades of pink, and pink and green are not colors that I naturally myself would have thought to combine together. But seeing the pattern paper, it really does work, and I wouldn't necessarily even combine these 2 particular shades of green either. So that's one thing that I really appreciate about not just this particular card kit, but card kits in general, because everything that's in the box is selected to coordinate with each other. And so that sort of gives you a lot of confidence and freedom to combine things and know that it's very likely to look good in the end. And the other thing is that it also, for me anyways, helps me kind of learn more about color combinations and, mixing patterns and things like that. So it's always really interesting to work with just different color palettes, because then I get to learn about different color combinations that I may never have thought to try on my own, just because they just aren't naturally colors that I gravitate towards using. So I really enjoyed using this card kit for that reason, because I think with Pink and Main they do tend to have more bright colors, and I don't naturally gravitate towards bright colors. So I like using them and I like seeing them, but for me, it's not something that I kind of naturally, comes to my mind when I think about choosing colors for my cards. This is my interactive card, and it's a flip it card, and it's used a die set from Sizzix that was designed by Stephanie Bernard. And there are several different flip it die sets, and I actually have a couple that have different sort of shapes in the center. And I have another video out of how to create a custom flip it card using a shape die. And even though it's fairly easy to make these with, even if you don't have a full die set, I still reach for the die sets pretty often, because these cards never cease to impress. So it's always a card that people enjoy getting, and the die set has everything that you need and more. So it's got dies that will cut these decorative panels that I'm putting on the card now, and as well a lot of extra elements to decorate the rest of your card. So what I did was I just die cut nearly everything that was included in this die set. So all the different shapes and styles of these little label die cuts, and there's even to the right there the blue snowflake pattern paper has the 2 slots where you can feed a ribbon through. That was really pretty, and I thought about using it because there is some ribbon that comes in this card kit. In the end, I didn't use it, but I like having a lot of different options, and that way when I get to the point where I'm assembling the card, hopefully I have a lot of choices that I can just move around and mix and match and play with a little bit. So I don't mind having little extra pieces that aren't used. I'll just use them in a different card later. So you can see the Be Merry sentiment, and I'm actually going to stamp out another sentiment here too. I love the font in this stamp set. It's really pretty. The sort of scripty kind of font. It's almost like brush lettering. That's what it sort of reminds me of too. So I did play around with the idea of hiding the little car behind the flip panel so that it's a little bit of a surprise when you open it up. But it seemed like, first off, while it does fit, it had to really be crammed all the way into the fold. And it also seemed a little bit odd for it to be hanging out in that location once the card is opened. I mean, the surprise is a little bit nice, but in terms of the overall look of the card, I wasn't too sure about it. So in the end, I didn't do that, and I put it in a different location, which I'm much happier about. So this kit did come with a lot of extra things that I did not end up using. So I may crack into this kit again to make more cards, possibly not holiday or Christmas themed at all, but there are a lot of different embellishments. So I already mentioned the ribbon, which I didn't use. There's also some buttons that were really pretty, and I didn't use those. There's also some, let's see, what are these? There's some wood embellishments that are really cute. So you've got bells, some holly leaves, a snowman, a sled, gingerbread man. So these little wood embellishments were really cute. But I didn't use those either. There's some flowers in different holiday-ish colors. Those are really cute. There are some tags even, and I think that's it for the stuff that I didn't use. But that's a lot. I mean, even though this kit made a comparison to the Spellbinders kits where, you know, they don't have ephemera, but it does come with a lot of different embellishments. So again, just a little bit of a trade-off there, depending on how you prefer to decorate your cards, I guess. So this is my last card. It's my pop-up card. And one of the things that I noticed about this kit, which I really liked, is that some of the pattern papers have the same design, but in different colorways. So I know in particular the snowflake pattern, and you've probably seen it in some of my other cards too. They have a blue version, there's a pink version, there was the pink and green version. So I like when there's like the same pattern, especially if you really like the pattern. I really like the snowflakes here, and you get to use it in different colors. So I could imagine creating the same design or layout card, but just using different color combinations, using the exact same pattern, but in different colors. I didn't do that because I tend to like creating different unique cards. I really never make the same card twice, but I could definitely see if you were, let's say, making a set of cards to give as a gift. It's a nice option to be able to create essentially the same design, but just in different colors, and have it as a set of cards that you can give to somebody. I think that would make a really nice gift. And in fact, I am making holiday cards as gift sets that I'm giving out this year. So that's one reason why I'm creating so many holiday and Christmas cards. I definitely don't need as many as I've been making, but I like the idea of giving people little packs of, I'm thinking maybe 10 cards, and it'll be fun for me because I like making cards, but hopefully it's a practical gift as well because it's something that you can always use some. With my pop-up cards, I do tend to keep the front of the card rather simple, and there are a couple of reasons for that. One, I do like that surprise element of having somebody think, oh, you know, this is a nice card, but, you know, it's nothing too special. And then when they open it, having that surprise of the pop-up element to it. So, kind of like a little bit of a head fake. So I like that, but the other reason is, a lot of times I start the card by making the pop-up element on the inside, and to be honest, by the time I get around to thinking about how the front of the card is going to look, I'm kind of zapped in terms of creative energy sometimes in terms of time, and so all I can think to do is really something pretty simple. But really, I think it does help with the surprise element to keep the outside really simple and have all of the fun and action happening on the inside. And you can see when I'm putting adhesive on the backs of the pattern paper how a lot of those designs aren't holiday at all. So this little snow scene is going to be pretty simple to put together. So I'm using the snowflake pattern paper as my sky and the backdrop for that. And I hand cut a little snowbank. And now what I'm doing is just creating a pop-up stand for the different elements that are going to stand up and out from the card. So these stands are really super easy to make on your own. There are dies that will do this for you as well, but you don't really need them if you kind of understand the mechanics of it. And so basically the first score line that I make is essentially the depth of the pop-up, so how far from the back of the card I want that element to pop out. And then the next score line is the height of the pop-up, so how tall that piece is going to be. And right now, that's the section that's getting glued down to my snowbank. And so you can see that I've got, I think it's 3/8 of an inch as the depth of my pop-up. So there's that small little glue tab that's only 3/8 of an inch wide. That's going to get glued down to the bottom portion of my card, which is the back of the card. And then you can see how I initially attached this incorrectly. So what you want to do is you want to fold your pop-up stand in half, and you only want to put glue on the longer portion, and then once you close your card down, that will attach, and that way you know for certain that everything's going to open and close smoothly. And for my car, I've got the same little pop-up, so you can see it's just a little box basically. And I initially made the pop-up stand such that it is going to have the car sit at the bottom flush with the back of the card, but I decided against that. I wanted the card to actually sit more in the center of the snowbank. So I'm just going to cut out another pop-up stand that's taller so that it puts my car more in the center of the snowbank instead of flush with the bottom. And I didn't think to do it at the time, but before I give this card out, I might actually cut another snowbank to put in front of the car, and that way it covers the pop-up stand, and I think that'll make everything look a little bit more polished and clean, because then you don't see any of the mechanisms that are operating to create that layered effect. And it is pretty easy to create these multiple kind of layers or depths in your card. So the snowbank is kind of one depth, and then you've got the car in front of that. And you can continue to add more layers and more scenes if you wanted to really create a very detailed scene. But I just stuck with just the 2 levels. So I'm doing the exact same thing where that little glue tab I glued to the bottom, I fold the pop-up stand in half, and then I close my card so that it adheres. And I'm not sure why my video is showing this twice, but in case you missed it the first time, this is how you would attach it. And so because the pop-up stand is visible beneath the car, that's something that I might hide with another snowbank. So time to sort of embellish my cards with some of the fun items that come in this kit. This first baggie has a lot of differently shaped sequins. And so you've got the holly leaves, which I used, and red sequins that you can use as the holly berries. There's circle confetti that's in, I think, 2 different sizes. There's even little stars, and there's even brown foil deers that are an option too. So super pretty. My previous card, I put some of the clear stars, which also come in multiple sizes. I really love when embellishments come in different sizes. So here I'm just picking out the stars from that sequin pack. And these are flat stars, or flat sequins, but they do have the hole in the center. And these little gumdrops, I don't know if there's an official name for them, but I call them gumdrops because that's what it kind of reminds me of. So here's a recap of the cards that I made using the Pink and Main Be Merry card kit. I did add a couple of sentiments to some of the cards that were lacking, but otherwise, that's pretty much it. Thanks so much for joining me. Until my next video, have a fantastic day and happy crafting. Bye.